What's up guys, welcome back to the Run with Jay channel. So today we're going to be reviewing the Nike ZoomX Streakfly. So this is a highly anticipated shoe with people claiming that this is the new lightest and fastest shoe out there. So we're going to validate those claims and test out the shoe ourselves to see if this shoe lives up to the hype. So if this is your first time to the channel, welcome. Please hit that like and subscribe button as well as the bell for notifications. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your contribution and support. So let's get this review started. So starting out with the specs, this shoe costs $160. So pretty surprisingly, not too expensive as opposed to other Nike shoes out there. It was released in February of 2022. The shoe has an offset about 6 millimeters with 32 millimeters in the heel and 26 in the forefoot. The shoe is incredibly light, weighing at about 5.7 ounces for a size 8.5. This shoe has plenty of toe room in my opinion. I did not have any issues with my feet being too tight even on the top of the foot or in the forefoot, so that is a good thing for people that have bigger feet. In my opinion, I do think I could have gone down half a size because this shoe feels like it runs a little bit long, and I do have a lot of extra toe room, more than usual in Nike shoes, so I feel like I could have gone down maybe half in size and I would have been fine. However, this shoe is very hard to find even now with this new colorway that was just released. The original prototype colorway sold out within hours, and it's still hard to get right now to get this new colorway, and people are buying them and scalping them on the internet for outrageous prices. So hopefully Nike will restock some of these shoes, and runners who actually need these shoes will get a pair to try them out and test them for themselves. So this shoe is made up of a few important components. You have the very thin knit upper on top, which is pretty breathable and very comfortable. And then you have the slanted lace system that looks similar to the Vaporfly and the Alphafly. However, the laces itself is very basic. It is not like those notch laces that you would see in the Vaporfly or the Alphafly, which holds the laces in very well. These didn't come loose either, but I felt like Nike could have put it in these nicer laces in this shoe. In the midsole, you have a full-length ZoomX foam, which is the bread and butter for Nike. This is a very responsive and lightweight foam, and is one of my favorite foams that Nike also uses on their high-end shoes as well. It's very soft, responsive, and also very comfortable. And on the bottom, you have the rubber on the top, those wave-looking pattern that resembles a little bit like the Alphafly with the top part of the rubber. And the bottom, you have exposed foam and two rubber strips on the outside of the heel. Similar concepts you would see in higher end shoes like the Alphafly and Vaporfly as well, with the middle being exposed foam. So this shoe does not come with a full-length carbon fiber plate like some of your top end shoes. This shoe is meant to be a short distance racer, and Nike even prints the 5K and 10K on the outside of your shoe here. It's not really meant for long distance racing like a full length marathon although I believe you could probably get away with using the shoe for that reason. There's plenty of foam in here, however it is a little bit higher compared to last year's Streak version, which is more lower and is more of your traditional racing flat. This feels like an upgraded racing flat with more foam and higher stack height, but still it's fast in my opinion, and it does its job. So there's padding on the tongue as well that's also partially stitched into the upper, so it doesn't come loose or slide down like a lot of people have issues with. So I did not have any issues with the tongue of it sliding or moving. There is padding on the tongue, which is very nice, so you don't feel any pressure on the top of your shoe. There's padding in the back of the shoe with the Achilles area, with also a very thin heel counter to keep your foot stable. Overall, I didn't have any issues with stability in this shoe. Without the plate, it felt a lot softer and more comfortable compared to your Vaporfly or Alphafly. That feels a little bit more aggressive. Out of the box, this shoe looks beautiful and it looks fast. In my opinion, one would think this shoe would have a carbon fiber plate in there as well. I think this is a very nice designed shoe. It looks very pleasant in my eyes. It looks like a shoe you just want to put on and go fast in. The insole of the shoe is glued in as well, so you're not able to take it out. So first run in the shoe, immediately as I put it on, I can feel how soft it is with the ZoomX foam. It definitely feels very similar to your high-end racing shoes, but for a price of $160, it costs almost $100 less than your Vaporfly or Alphafly. Of course, Nike is targeting this shoe as a short distance racing flat. So it's not meant for longer distances. It's supposed to be an upgrade of last year's Streak, which is lower to the ground, and for people that likes the feeling of the ground and doesn't want just maximum cushion shoe. So the Streak series was always a shoe meant for people that just wants a basic, flat, like lower to the ground kind of, shoe that's for short distance racing. Last year's version was the pinnacle of that description. However, this year they upgraded the shoe with a little bit higher stack height with more foam, and it seems like this is the direction that most shoe companies are going at in this direction. So if you're a person that really liked feeling of the ground while running and the lower stack height, this might be a little bit different for you, but I feel like it could still be a nice upgrade. And definitely with the ZoomX foam now in the shoe, you definitely get that responsiveness and that cushion, so your feet feels a little bit better while you're racing, and it doesn't wear your legs out super easily. So I've used this shoe in variable paces. It definitely shines when you're going fast. The ZoomX foam, it gives you great responsiveness, and it kind of makes your feet want to be on its toes while running. And with this shoe being so light, you can barely feel it on your foot. But I feel like this shoe is meant for faster type runs. While running a little bit slower, or just casual pace, I felt like this shoe fell a little bit flat, and it just didn't get that sense of energy and push that I would get when I was trying out maybe the Takumi Set 8. So it's a very different feeling. So this shoe might not be the best for just comfortable slower paces. I feel like, in my opinion, this shoe is better for quicker, faster paces, and it definitely shines when I'm going fast. And it automatically wants to put me on my toes. I didn't have any issues with heel slippage, and the shoe felt pretty comfortable on turns as well. Also, the rubber grip on the bottom was fine. Even running in wet conditions, I didn't have any issues with slipping. I felt like I could have gone down half a size, and maybe the shoe would have felt a little bit better. But I felt like I just had a little bit tad more extra room than I would like. And while using this shoe for the first time, you might have to adjust the laces a little bit to either tighten the top part of the shoe so you can get a more stable fit. When I didn't set that up in the beginning, I felt like my foot was moving around a little bit, but once I fixed the laces and kind of made it a little bit tighter, I was able to get that foot locked down, and I didn't have any issues afterwards. Again, like I said before, I wish they would have changed the laces and used the laces that the Alphafly and the Vaporfly uses, which I feel like are much better. But still, even though they're basic laces, I really didn't have any issues with them. So other than that, I feel like this shoe is a great shoe for faster tempo runs. For like if you're doing fast sessions, either on the track even, or just anywhere. or for even short distance races, like even for a mile, 5K, 10K, this shoe will be perfect for that. Not saying that this shoe can't be used for a half marathon or a marathon. I think people can definitely use it for that, but I feel like, there are other shoes out there that give you better cushion and support that would be better suited for those races. So overall pros of the shoe is super lightweight. It basically feels like you're wearing nothing on your foot. The ZoomX foam is very comfortable, gives nice responsiveness and grip. And when you're going fast, you can definitely feel that power of the foam, and it's definitely resembles kind of like the Pegasus Turbo 2 that I used to love in the past. Even though that shoe has now been discontinued, definitely reminds me of that feeling. That shoe did have React and ZoomX in it, so this shoe is full ZoomX. The price of the shoe I think is pretty decent as well. Surprisingly, this shoe costs less than the Invincible one, which is $180. But that shoe as a whole chunk of ZoomX foam, a lot more as opposed to this shoe. And I feel like that shoe is more of a slower pace kind of recovery run type of shoe, while this shoe is meant for racing. So price wise, I think this shoe is pretty decent. The shoe overall is very comfortable. I didn't have any heel slippage. The lockdown on top was good. It's not perfect, but I definitely think once you hit the laces adjusted, it's definitely good. And it's a fun shoe to run in, to change up the paces if you don't want to always have a carbon fiber plate in your shoe. It's definitely less aggressive and much softer than some of those top end racing shoes. So it's a change of pace, and I think even without the plate, you could still go fast in the shoe. And this shoe loves, in my opinion, you going fast in it. It doesn't really do much. I feel like when you're going slower paces, it just feels a little bit flat. So cons for this shoe, like I said just before, the shoe feels a little bit flat in most instances unless you're going pretty quick. Doesn't have that energy that kind of propels you to go forward like maybe a Takumi Sen 8 does with its carbon rods. So it's a much different feeling. I think Nike could have done a better job with the laces. They could have replaced it with more notch laces to help your foot better in place. I think these cotton laces are okay, but definitely could use the upgrade. Again, for people that love max cushion shoes, this shoe might not be for you. It does have a lot of cushion in it, but it's definitely not a replacement for a Vaporfly or an Alphafly with the amount of cushion in there. It definitely feels a lot more flexible though compared to some of those shoes. So if you're a person that likes that, this shoe would be great. So overall, I think this is a good shoe. It's great for probably short distance races, and it's definitely a different alternative to a higher end marathon or type racing shoe like the Vaporfly and Alphafly. Although I feel like this shoe is definitely not a substitute for those shoes. Personally, I would probably stick with the Vaporfly for short distance races. I just feel like this shoe feels a little bit flat in most instances, and I think the Vaporfly just gives me a lot more propulsion and feedback in return that I like to look for in a racing shoe. And it's just very hard to beat when you put this shoe next to it. For shorter distance races, I think this will be fine because it's a lighter shoe than the Vaporfly, and you don't need that much cushion or support for shorter distance races. But if you're planning to use this for longer races, I think there are other shoes that are better options for it. If you're comparing this shoe to similar shoes in the category for short distance racer like the Takumi Sen 8 from Adidas, I honestly would prefer the Takumi Sen 8 over this Streakfly. Personally, because in my opinion that shoe feels just a little bit more like faster with the whole carbon rod system that they got going on, and the Light Strike Pro foam. I think they hit the nail on the head with that foam in that shoe specifically, and the lockdown in that shoe in my opinion feels second to none, especially in cornering. It just feels like second skin on your foot, and it's probably one of my favorite Adidas shoes out there, and especially for short distance racers. Adidas has come a long way in my opinion with their shoes, and they're probably neck and neck if not above Nike now with some of their technology. If I were to choose a short distance racer, it would probably be Takumi Sen 8. Not taking anything away from the Streakfly. People will love this shoe for their own personal preferences. It is lighter than the Takumi Sen 8 by almost about half an ounce. So if people care about the weight, this is definitely the lighter shoe, and the foam is definitely softer on this shoe as opposed to the Light Strike like pro. So there are, pros and cons for both of these shoes. So the Streakfly is a very hyped up shoe since the Alpha Fly came out. And I felt like Nike could have done more with this shoe, especially with things like the laces. Maybe they could have added a small, a plate or something in there, even a plastic plate if it's going to be a racing shoe, but they chose to, stick with their ZoomX foam, which is, their bread and butter. In my opinion, I feel like Nike, is just putting ZoomX foam in pretty much every single one of their shoes. I'm hoping, that the shoe will be a hit. But it's definitely a shoe that I would use for faster or tempo runs, but I don't think I would take this out for short distance races, as the Vaporfly would still be my shoe of choice in that category. But I would definitely probably use this for just training purposes. For sure, fast tempo runs or fart lakes or anything like that. It would be great to have those shoe in because it doesn't have the carbon fiber plate. So my feet, legs would feel a lot nicer than having to train in those more aggressive type shoes. So overall, a good shoe. I think it's decent priced. And if it was over $200, I would definitely say forget about it. But for $160, it's not your typical break the bank kind of shoe. It's in the price range of like the Endorphin Speed, which is also like a very popular shoe. But it's an interesting shoe, and honestly don't know where to put the shoe in my shoe rotation because it doesn't fit in one category, but it doesn't fit in the other. So I would say if you really want the shoe, this shoe would be good for short distance races or just for training for faster pace runs. But it's not a shoe that's going to replace any of your high-end racing shoes if you do already own some of these. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. This shoe is definitely an interesting shoe. It's it's not a bad shoe, but it's not the best shoe out there, and I think Nike definitely could have done more with the shoe. Personally, I'm looking forward to the Alpha Fly Next Gen 2, which Kipchoge probably already has a prototype of, and that's probably going to be the next big shoe that Nike is going to release, so I'm looking forward to that. But again, if you guys have any questions, comments, or feedback, please feel free to leave them down below. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, please hit that like and subscribe button. I hope you guys are all staying safe and your training is going well, and I'll talk to you guys on the next run.